This is the Analysis in Chains with Nathan Williams and Neal Kieran.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Analysis in Chains. I'm Nathan. Hi, Neal. How was your weekend?
Hey, Nathan. How's it going? It's going okay. I'm like a prisoner in my own home these days. I don't know if you've been following the news, but the east side of North America is crazy cold. I have not seen the thermometer go as high as -10 in a long time. So yeah, I'm surviving.
It was freezing here in Germany.
Yeah, freezing. Yeah, how cold is freezing?
2 degrees Celsius.
Oh my God. My heart goes out to you, Nathan.
On Christmas, I was in France at my parents' place, and we went snowshoeing one day, and then a couple of days later, it was 14 degrees, and we were having lunch on the balcony, no jacket. You know, it was really a hard life.
Oh wow, poor you. I was a prisoner. I could not go outside. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there. I don't know if people have seen them, where people have boiling water and throw it up in the air and turn into ice instantly. Okay, that's the type of conditions I was living in. So yeah, I've been a prisoner in my own home now for a few weeks. I should set up a special fund, maybe do a crypto fund.
I think your best bet, Neal, is set up a mining farm, a bunch of ASICs in your house, and the heat they generate. It's going to keep you warm.
Yeah, okay, that is a better and probably more profitable idea. Thank you very much, Nathan. I will do that.
Yeah, at very least, you'll break even.
Yeah.
I was thinking, Neal, last week, I wanted to start the new year by giving people some information on how exactly blockchain work, because even the people that have been at crypto for a while don't necessarily have that information, and so we did that with an episode. And I was thinking maybe before we get into the news and what's been going on in the market, we might start by answering a couple of questions that we've gotten from a lot of people recently, which is, what sort of things should you look for in crypto? Basically, everybody tells you when you're doing investment in crypto that you have to do your own research, that you shouldn't just assume things are good projects, or that any particular person has the right answer. We're not financial advisors, all of that disclaimer stuff. But what information should we look for when we're looking to evaluate an ICO or a token sale or even an established crypto?
I think that's a very good question. When it comes to crypto, obviously you need to understand the basics, like how does blockchain work, and I think one of the best sources for that I've been using, and that was my reference point, was Blockchain Revolution by Don Tapscott and Alex Tapscott. I think that's the first place you should start before you even invest in anything, because you need to understand the fundamentals. And when I do investing in crypto, I keep asking myself that, okay, what's really being made here by this company? Is it really something that's decentralized? Does it need to be decentralized, or is it just a glorified database? And you have to ask yourself those questions. It can be very hard to know, so you have to really do some digging. Obviously, look at the white paper, and obviously treat these teams like any other company you would invest in, and do some research on them. Like, who are they? What are their experiences like? And the best way to understand that, I find, is to go on Twitter, follow them on Twitter, see what they say, what's their opinion, look at the Reddit forums. That I spend a lot of time on Reddit, really reading through what everyone says about different crypto, and whenever the founders contribute, I read about what they say. And I find that that's the best way to really understand what's happening, because a lot of the time people really are don't really know what's going on, and that's what I feel is happening a lot of the time. It's very easy to get caught up in the hype. Everyone's like, this is the new big thing, this is the new Amazon, this is the new Facebook. But you have to really read the white paper. You have to really analyze what does a blockchain do. So when it comes to due diligence, it really is nitty gritty. It's not easy, it's not fun, and I would encourage everyone to do that, because when you go on, if you just Google Twitter or just search, if you go on Twitter and just like search whatever blockchain you're interested in, you're just going to see a lot of hype. Like you really have to dig through and get into the dirt to really understand how good a cryptocurrency is.
It's funny. I often am unsure of which projects are good and which are bad, but I've started just asking more questions. And I tend to approach things from the project side, the technical side, and asking, why is blockchain needed for this application? That's question number one. Question number two, I think, is how can you trade this token for real world goods, or can there be actual value put into this token? And that's an important one to ask, because not everyone has answered it. I remember I was at an event, a pitching event, a number of weeks ago, and there was a fellow who went up on stage and he had a very flashy presentation about how they were going to create a crypto project to incentivize companies to be greener and to be more environmentally responsible. And they were just going to give companies tokens in response for them taking on greener initiatives. And then the question is, okay, well, how does actual value come into that? Like, why is this token going to be worth anything? And they said, well, we're going to do a token sale and we're going to sell the token and people are going to buy it. Okay. But then after that, how does money keep flowing in? Because you're going to be giving that value away basically to companies. And they hadn't actually figured it out. They said, well, we'll just do another token sale. So essentially what the business model was people giving money to the tokens, and then the tokens giving the money to companies in exchange for them doing some sort of initiative to be greener. And so it was essentially a subsidy to companies. And actually thinking about that fundamental, the economic fundamental of where does the money come into these projects is really important. Otherwise, it ends up just being sort of a Ponzi scheme. Money goes in, and as long as the money doesn't keeps coming in or doesn't go out, then the value will go up. And it's like, well, that's not a functional economy token.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like understanding the economics really is fundamental, because a lot of these companies, it's just having tokens for the sake of tokens, and sometimes it doesn't make sense, and that's why you really need to get down to the fundamentals. Like, what does this blockchain or this solution or these tokens, what does it achieve? And it's so easy to get caught up in, okay, we're going to save the planet by doing this, or we're going to make this there's a problem in the world and we have the solution. And it's so easy to sort of get caught up in that and just throw all your money in without really looking at the fine print and understanding what it's all about. So one personal policy I have when it comes to investing is really understanding the people, and can you really trust them? Because the whole thing about cryptocurrencies is almost like taking the trust out of anything because it's going to be decentralized. Well, I kind of take it the opposite approach, because going back to what you're saying, like, what do these tokens represent? What are they going to achieve? And the thing is, people can just tell you whatever. It can just be a scam. Like, they could come up with an elaborate scam and tell you, okay, these tokens can do this, and you think, okay, actually that makes sense. But then you have to ask yourself, just because their business model makes sense, who are these people I'm investing in? And so I kind of take the opposite approach. It may be decentralized, but you still need leaders. There is a sense of centralization to these companies. Like, if there's a leader that you believe in a way, you're also investing in the leader, not just the economic model or the blockchain or the team, but you want to feel that this leader, has the capability to make these things work. And so that kind of like is kind of the opposite to how a lot of Bitcoin people look at things, because Bitcoin doesn't really have a leader anymore. It's very, very decentralized. But the problem with that is that you've a lot of different opinions and no one can really agree on the right way to do things. Whereas the likes of Ripple, which is, as many people rightfully say, it's a very much a centralized cryptocurrency that has a leader, a CEO who actually goes on TV and says what they're doing, what their success is, how they're going to evolve. And that's very reassuring. And also, you can get to evaluate their credentials, because a lot of these guys, who are now leading various projects, were involved in Bitcoin or involved in Ethereum, have great experience. So this is the other important element. Like I think you're completely right. Number one should be economically, does it make sense? And number two, does the team, can you trust that team, and do they have the experience to execute it effectively?
And number three, I guess, would be how much have they already accomplished? You know, a lot of these projects will have a white paper. They'll have a technical plan of how they're going to build the project, which parts of the project are going to be done in which order. We're going to add a wallet. We're going to add a decentralized exchange. We're going to add crypto trading pairs or whatever they're doing. And you can follow along and see, well, how closely are they matching what they said they were going to do? How much is being accomplished? And that can give you confidence as well. For me, as much as people say you shouldn't do this, everyone does it. I tend to trust what other people tell me. Right? Because I don't have time to go through absolutely everything. And, you know, there are thousands of crypto projects out there. And often what I will do is I will look at people who are around me, who I trust, or who are even more deeply involved and invested than I am. And I will use that as sort of a first step. It's like, okay, well, if, you know, my friend at Google does this, or if my friend in, you know, other crypto land is investing in this project, then maybe I will take a deeper look at it. And it's not foolproof. I mean, I have friends who are very good at recognizing good projects who were taken in the Confito scam last year.
Wow.
And yeah, it's like, you know, there's no foolproof way of doing it. And that's why everyone says, well, yeah, we're not an advisory firm. We're not giving financial advice. We're just giving informational purposes only. That's the reason, is because it's very, very difficult to know what's a scam. And even some of the veterans can be taken by it.
Yeah, that's the thing about investing in crypto. It's supposed to be all decentralized, but at the end of the day, when you put your money into something, there's an element of trust there. You're trusting something. Like, you know, that just because the system is decentralized doesn't mean as an investment it's going to do well. It doesn't mean that the product will be popular in the future. And so in your case, you're trusting your contacts and what they're telling you, and you believe them that they know that this project is going to do very well. In my case, I put my trust in the leaders of the communities and what they're developing in. So we'll always be vulnerable. There's no way of being perfectly knowledgeable of this is the perfect solution or the crypto or the blockchain that's going to take off. Because at the end of the day, you have to make that leap of faith somehow. And it's not easy. And well, and that's how investing is. As much as you can crunch numbers and stuff like this, look at the macroeconomics. Like at the moment, you know, the whole crypto market just keeps going up and up and up. I think it was up 8 times over the course of 2017. So obviously there's an appetite there for crypto with retail investors. Obviously a lot of crypto will naturally go up, but then the day in 10 years time, what will remain? Because not all of these cryptocurrencies and not all of these companies will see it through. So you really have to make a leap of faith, and that's the way it is as an investor. And but the best advice that we can really give is due diligence. You really do your research and don't believe everything that you hear.
One thing that will really help is when different regions start bringing in ICO and token sale regulations. Having a set regulatory framework that the government puts in place to make sure that new crypto projects are adequately funded, that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and giving financial disclosure is going to help. And interesting, I don't know if you saw this, Neil, but Gibraltar has announced that they're going to become the first jurisdiction with a regulated ICO market.
Wow.
They're launching a fully regulated cryptocurrency exchange sometime in January called the GBX. I just saw that today.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really awesome.
Yeah. So I guess we're more to see from that. But this sort of development, people tend to poo-poo regulation, and that's sort of the excitement of this place, is that it is unregulated. But you sort of forget that not all regulation is bad. Sometimes regulation can help you to trust that whatever projects are out there are at least following sort of a minimum of responsible practice.
Yeah, and the thing is, regulation, I feel, really is to protect the whole crypto community, because while everything's going in one direction, and which is up, everyone is happy. Everyone is like, okay, leave me, I don't want any regulation, everything's working fine. But it's not until there's this like epic correction, where we go from a total market cap of the whole industry of just under $1 trillion, and if it drops all the way down to $1 billion, then people start crying and start pointing fingers, and then you have lawsuits. And so it really is to protect everyone's interest, in my view, to have some form of regulation out there, because I love cryptocurrencies. I love the potential of where it's going, but I would hate to see it all fall apart because people are obsessed with a world of zero regulation. So I feel that if there is a massive correction, if there's some regulation in place that can protect people, it just means that it can recover and then go from strength to strength. So yeah, so I'm encouraged whenever I see regulation, because I just see it as an opportunity, not a threat to the whole crypto world.
Yeah, same here. Although I'm cautious with regulation, because the danger with regulation is that the people who have money, like the established giant companies, can sort of influence regulation so that it keeps small players out, and that's the danger. But I think the bigger danger with crypto is that you get scammers in there, and having something that's well crafted that protects these young startups, interesting projects, cool ICOs with a couple of guys that are get together and find an innovative solution to a new problem, I think that's going to really transform the whole blockchain space.
I agree.
Yeah. So that's our 2 cents on what to look for. Where do you usually look for your information, Neal? Well, I think you already mentioned Reddit. You mentioned
Yeah, so as a great starting point, Blockchain Revolution by Don and Alex Tapscott. That's like my starting point. And from there, it really is a lot of digging through coinmarketcap.com. I spent a lot of time there, revising latest trends for various cryptocurrencies. I read, go into their websites, obviously read their white papers, and then when I want to get more information to really go under the hood, I look at Reddit forums, go on Twitter. I look at fork.lol, which I find very interesting because it compares Bitcoin to Bitcoin Cash, because you have a lot of interesting marketing dynamics going on between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash in terms of hash rate and rewards. And this helps understand how proof of work works, how important incentives are. Because the thing is about crypto, not many crypto out there actually have their own blockchain, which is kind of funny, because a lot of the cryptos going into tokens used on the Ethereum network, or decentralized solutions that are based on Ethereum, but not many of them actually have their own blockchain. So I like to go and analyze the stats of blockchain. So I look at fork.lol, I look at Coin Wars as well, that looks at all the different blockchains and how profitable they are. Again, this gives me understanding of performance. And then I go to bitinfocharts.com as well, where I analyze the transactions of the different blockchains that are out there, the hash rates of the different ones, so I can understand, the mining power. And then it looks at how, the wealth of the different people who own the different cryptocurrencies, the prices. So I do all the sort of performance analysis on bitinfocharts.com, because that really helps me understand the health of the community that supports a cryptocurrency. Because, really at the end of the day, the community is the number one reason why any cryptocurrency will succeed. Because if you don't have a community and you don't have miners in some cases, then you really have nothing at all.
One place that I tend to look is the Slack group, because like almost every crypto project, if they're going to have a community, they're either going to be on Slack or Telegram or both. and checking out the Slack group, checking out the Telegram group, talking to the people there, you can sort of get a temperature gauge as to where the enthusiasm of the community is. And I think you're exactly right that the enthusiasm of the community is critical. It's sort of funny because a lot of people sort of have a negative view of hype. They think, oh, well, this is just hype. This is only hype, But really, hype plays an important role, although if in the positive sense, it's enthusiasm, because that's the drive, the enthusiasm of the community to buy, to hold, and to promote the project is what ultimately leads to its success.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the new year. This is the first show where you and I are together in the new year. I guess we should probably look at some of what's been going on in the news, Neil?
Yeah, it's been an interesting few weeks since we last spoke. I'm sure a lot of people were like looking for us during the holiday season because so much actually happened, and it's kind of funny because I believe when we last spoke, Bitcoin was at approximately 17,000, and it's just under 17,000 right now. So it's as if nothing happened with
Hooray!
Bitcoin. Yeah.
No one missed anything. We're fine.
Nothing happened. But
nothing can happen in the crypto world without us, Neil. Come on.
yeah, exactly. They all just went for a nap and waited until we came out of hibernation. But what really happened in the last few weeks was a lot of money or a lot of investment went into altcoins, which is the term used for anything that is not Bitcoin. And Bitcoin hit 20K and dropped right back down, partly because I think people were just getting anxious. It was climbed so high so quickly, and it's just natural that there is some form of correction. It just makes sense because there were just so much questions keep rising. But I think the breaking point that really made Bitcoin drop so much was that transaction fees had actually gone up so high. And a lot
What are they at now?
I was at $20, which was insane. I don't know where it is now. It's been a few days since I last checked. I think it's maybe down to 10. But one of the main problems with Bitcoin, I think, is that it has a marketing problem, which is that in order for fees to be low, they need a lot of people to implement SegWit, and not a lot of exchanges have implemented SegWit. And I feel like the community is not really one with Bitcoin, and so because of the lack of adoption of SegWit, it means that users are experiencing high transaction fees, and that's scaring them away. And I think one of the biggest people that are a part of this is Coinbase. So if you use Bitcoin and Coinbase, you're actually going to get very high transaction fees because they haven't implemented SegWit. And if you don't have people like Coinbase and other exchanges on board with SegWit, then you're going to have a big community problem, and then that's going to impact your users, and then they're going to just leave Bitcoin and find alternatives. And I think that's what's actually happened. And because of that, you've seen a lot of Bitcoin money flow into other projects. And from that, we saw Ripple really, really take off. And it's no surprise in a way to see Ripple be a success, because I think it's a fantastic project. I think what it's going to do for the world and banks, it's fantastic. It's been signing on a lot more banks, which is great. But at the same time, you really have to ask yourself, how could it go up so much in such a short period of time? I really struggle to comprehend its value. And it's worth noting that the co-owner of Ripple became the 5th richest person on the planet because of this surge. He's now, I think at one point, he was worth the same as Mark Zuckerberg. And
that is insane.
Which is insane. So it really doesn't make sense. Yes, it makes sense for Ripple to be a success, and it's doing great work. But does this valuation make sense? And I really struggle to accept it, because it's a lot of what they're doing is in progress. Yes, they're signing on banks. Yes, this is a great opportunity for banks, and if they pull it off, this is fantastic. We all win. But is it at this? Does this valuation justify what this company could become? I really struggle to get on board with that. And I think because of that Ripple surge, we saw a surge in everything else as well.
We did a show last year on Ripple, And it's a fascinating protocol. For those of you who don't know, Ripple is a cryptocurrency system that is meant to do settlements between banks internationally. It could end up replacing Swift. It's absolutely valuable. It definitely has a use case. They don't use proof of work. They're a completely different type of system, so it doesn't use as much energy as Bitcoin does. But the thing is, they've signed up a lot of the big banks, and they've got a lot of potential, but they're not live yet.
Yeah. No.
And I don't know how much it exactly jumped from the last time we talked till now, but I think it was at 33 cents when we did our last episode. And what's it at right now? Something like $5 per
Okay.
XRP?
So when we last spoke, okay, and this is what's so insane, is that when we did our last episode, it was around about $1 at the time, and now it's up
Yeah.
over $3.50 at the moment. And even 2 months ago, it was like 30 cents. Actually,
I was thinking, yeah, when we did our Ripple episode was in September, and that
oh
was, yeah,
wow,
33 cents.
yeah, yeah. So it's like that's 10x in such a
So
short
that's
period of time.
10x.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
insane. Like, can a company go up 10x in value in such a short period of time? And that's what's actually happened to a lot of crypto out there. It seems to be any company whose coin is less than $1 shot up 10x in the period of 2 or 3 weeks, and a lot of that was coming from Bitcoin, like exchange from Bitcoin into altcoins, and like probably because people were just nervous about Bitcoin, transaction fees were high, and they saw these opportunities with Ripple and other altcoins. But going back to our main point, did these companies grow up 10x in the period of 3 weeks? I don't know. It's really hard to get on board with that.
Yeah, I mean, I do get that this is supply and demand, right? Like, this is based on how much people expect it to grow, and it's not a stable market, and all there's a lot of factors that go in there. With Ripple, I don't know. I tell you something. I am nervous. I am nervous about Ripple, and one of the reasons that I'm nervous is that there's still a lot of questions around how the cryptocurrency is going to work. Like um, there was something I was reading just this week. Reading up on all of this Ripple hype, and it seems that there was someone who had, I think it was like an agreement when he left the company to not sell all of his Ripple at once. It was one of the former leaders or something like that. And he ended up, it was a verbal agreement, and the guy went and sold $1.5 million of dollars worth of Ripple in a go. And Ripple froze his assets. And that raised eyebrows because I didn't know you could freeze crypto assets generally. Like, not if you're decentralized. And so what this means is that XRP, if Ripple has the ability to freeze XRP, then you're looking at something that isn't completely centralized. It's not, strictly speaking, a cryptocurrency in a way. It's a crypto-like currency, and then you're getting into trust issues, and that's a big question if you're dealing with crypto. I mean, there's no right answer. Like, should you have control from a centralized, trusted entity? Well, maybe yes. But then you start to have to start wondering, well, what if you have that control? What specific value are you adding that, like, Swift wouldn't add? I don't know. It raises more questions than answers, but it does raise my eyebrows.
Yeah, well, I think this is what people were highlighting a lot since the price shot up, is the centralized aspect. And but the thing is, what we have to realize is that this is the crypto world. Like, not a lot makes sense a lot of the time. And in one way, and someone highlighted this to me, maybe Ripple was suppressed in price for a period of time. Like, just because it went up 10x in such a short period of time, it probably should have gone up much more gradually since the summer, because it is worth mentioning, like going back to your point, if this guy put a lot on the market, well, that obviously suppresses the price because of supply and demand. And then it is worth noting that they had some lawsuit issues with R3 as well. And so that kind of like maybe,
That's true.
so that potentially suppressed the price. And maybe that's why we saw this 10x surge in such a short period of time. But the thing is that what I find interesting is that people are telling me, oh, I want to invest in Ripple and stuff like this. But yeah, going back to your point, like, do they really know what they're investing in when they invest in Ripple? Because it's on CoinMarketCap, because it's on exchanges, do they realize that it's a different type of cryptocurrency? So while I'm very enthusiastic about Ripple and its potential, it is a bit different at the same time, and I think people just need to be aware of that and do their due diligence on Ripple to understand how different it is compared to other cryptocurrencies.
Absolutely. And if you want to know how to do your due diligence, just rewind this episode and listen to the first part.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, before we sign off, I wanted to just mention a couple of things. First of all, on the 11th of January, we are going to have our second live event. Our first one was a pretty big success. We had 18 people show up. We talked about how blockchain works, what proof of work is, all of that interesting stuff. The event is called Blockchain Unpacked. We will have a link to the Meetup group in the liner notes, the, what do you call this, episode notes. And yeah, we're going to have Joseph Shigala, the CEO of Vaultoro. They're an exchange between Bitcoin and physical gold. And we're going to be talking about transparency, money laundering, all sorts of impact issues. This is going to be at 7 p.m. on Thursday, the 11th, at the Impact Hub Berlin in Berlin, Germany. So that'll be exciting. We've been approached by a couple of people about sponsorship of the podcast, and we are open to that. So if you or your company is interested in sponsoring the podcast, send an email to info@analysisandchains.com and we'll talk to you. Finally, don't forget to go to www.analysisinchains.com and sign up to the Slack group. That is where all of the interesting discussion happens. So if you have questions on how to do due diligence, if you want to tell us we are completely wrong about Ripple or completely right about Ripple or any of that sort, Neal and I are glad to chat with you on the Slack group. Go to analysisandchains.com, sign up, and I will send you some official nutshells, the Neal and Nathan cryptocurrency, for joining. That is all for now. Have a great week, Neal.
You too, Nathan. Hopefully you're not sweating too much in your awesome weather over there.
Oh, I'll bundle up. I never will miss living in a place where the air hurts your face.
Yeah.
Take care for now. Until next time, keep hashing. Thank you.